Praises to Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, who rule and teach well, who taught us this truth. I came across this article and I figured that I'd go into it because ultimately what this article is trying to have us to understand is that, the point that they're trying to convey is that America or Babylon is going to be around for another 100 years, and the stealing of the oil from Venezuela and the bombing of 168 schoolgirls in Iran, that's how they solidify their empire, man. And this is why we say that Babylon has to fall. Because as we're going to read, this article is basically saying, hey, everything that we've stolen, we've done so that we can be in power for another 100 years. But those two things, how do you justify that? How can you justify and say, hey, I've stolen this continent's oil, and I've also slaughtered, innocent women and children in Iran so that I can be in control for 100 years? I mean, no, man. Matter of fact, contrary to that, let's get Sirach 10. Okay, what is that? 10 and 7, 10 and 8. Because of unrighteous dealings, injuries, and riches got by deceit, the kingdom is translated from one people to another, man. And that's why Babylon has to fall, because Babylon has been built on top of unrighteous dealings. And what were those unrighteous dealings? Well, how was this place founded? Through the taking of the land of what the world calls Native Americans, man, which were Israelites. Okay, the tribe of Gad and and Reuben, man. Okay, and riches got by deceit. Okay, and so because a kingdom basically gets built on lies, it's got to be translated from one people to another. And when you go into Daniel, which we may end up getting into that, Daniel 2 and Daniel 7 talks about the different kingdoms that would be on the earth. Okay, the Assyrian, Babylonians, the Median Persians, the Greeks, the ancient Roman Empire, and the revived Roman Empire. Okay, and so when the articles, talking about, they're trying to protect, China from getting on the global scale. Hey, China wasn't in Daniel the seventh chapter as one of the kingdoms that was going to come in. No, it was the ancient Roman Empire being brought back up again, going into that deadly wound which was healed, mentioned in the book of Revelations, and then Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai brings in the judgment, man. And so the other people whom this kingdom is going to be translated to are the Israelites, man. So-called blacks, natives, and Hispanics. And this article, is, we'll get a couple points here in this article, but, anybody with any kind of, I guess, yeah, I can use the term non-biased. Well, anybody with a, non-biased and honest mind, taking into account the history of anybody that steals and builds their empire, you know, anybody will tell you, hey man, they need judgment. A perfect example of it is, that whole thing with that barbecue guy, that guy that coined the term tendernism, right? And then that Edomite owner, he tried to take ownership of it, right? And what did social media do? They stopped buying meat from that Edomite and they went with the Jake. Why is that? Because they saw it, man. They saw that what the Edomite was trying to do is he was trying to steal yet another invention of the Israelites, and they shunned him. And that's exactly what America is, man. America is that Edomite barbecue place, man. But but the difference is that our people can't see it. And so hopefully this article goes into it and can possibly begin to take some scales off of your spiritual eyes. All right, and then if not, then so be it. The work has to be done. The warning has been sent out. So let's go ahead and get straight into it. It says, while the fake news media and some doomsday experts who've been wrong for decades scream about Trump chaos and imperial overreach, President Trump is quietly executing the boldest strategic master plan in generation. It's not just about seizing Venezuela's massive reserves or finally crushing Iran's terror sponsoring regime. And man, the English language, the Edomite perspective is so filled with lies and treachery that you will read over that sentence and it's just normal. But let's get that word seize because it talked right here. It says the seizing of Venezuela's oils. The word seizing on the etymology online means to take possession either land or goods by force. See, these Edomites will tell you straight up, yes, we stole it. We took that land by force. But then they always try to justify it, man. And as we see them on the global scale justifying the the stealing of land, the stealing of goods, the slaughtering of children, you know, nobody bats an eye at it, man. That's why, matter of fact, let's get that in Ezekiel 9 and 4. The only people crying and sighing are those that are going to be saved, man, because everybody, as we see this race of people, committing crimes on the global scale, man, we are the only ones that are crying out righteously, man. Everybody else is in agreement, man. Ezekiel 9 verse 4, and Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai said unto him, go through the midst of the city, through the midst of Jerusalem, and set a mark upon the foreheads of the men that sigh and that cry for all the abominations that be done in the midst thereof. And these videos that we put out, this is a form of our sighing and crying. All right, we're sighing and crying to Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai, just as we did in ancient Egypt. And what ended up happening? Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai remembered our covenant because the sighing and crying, because of our bondage, because of our affliction. And so because of that, we get the mark. And that word mark in the Hebrew goes into thawah, which is a mark of exemption. An exemption from what? An exemption of judgment that is due. Judgment that is due to this criminal enterprise. But you know who doesn't get that judgment? Uh, uh, do you know who doesn't get that thawah, that exemption? Two-thirds of our people and all these other nations that have joined hand in hand with the wicked, because the scriptures talk about that. Though hand join hand, the wicked shall not go unpunished. The wicked starts off with Esau Edom, but the wicked also includes two-thirds of our people, man. See, we are seeing murder being committed on a mass scale of innocent, well, uh, uh, I'll say this, of school children, for example, in Iran. And what's the logical thing to do? Hey man, pick up the phone and call the police because I just saw somebody slaughter 168 school children. But these people ain't doing it, man. Our people ain't doing it. And for that reason, man, these people gotta go, man. All right. Let's continue on. It says, so it says those moves which we just established was stealing, man, and that's also how. Matter of fact, yeah, John 10 and 10, the thief cometh not, but for to steal and to kill and to destroy. Esau Edom, the self-proclaimed white man, is the thief, and that's all he's ever done. Yeah. Matter of fact, let's get that in Habakkuk. Habakkuk 2 and 5. Yea, also because he transgresses by wine. He is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlarges his desire as hell, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied, but gathers unto him all nations, and heaps unto him all people. And this is a perfect summary of the way that these Edomites, these self-proclaimed whites, operate, man. They don't stay at home, all right, and they enlarge their desire, man. All they do is come to steal, to kill, and to destroy, man. And this is prophecy. Matter of fact, let's get that in First Maccabees, because when this thief was let loose, man, that's when everything got more worse. Okay, this is First Maccabees 1 verse 9. It says, and after his death, this is talking about the death of Alexander the Great, the Greek, which is one of the first major empires that these Edomites, that these so-called whites began to rule underneath. And after his death, they put all crowns upon themselves. This is going into his four generals: Cassander, Lacemaeus, Seleucid, and Ptolemy, so did their sons after them many years, and evils were multiplied in the earth. Ever since these Edomites have been in a position of power, evils have been multiplied, and those evils are the thieving of land, the stealing of our heritage, and the killing of our people, man. Matter of fact, let's get that uh uh I know it's in Micah. Uh, uh Oppresses even his heritage. Let's get that. Yeah, Micah 2:2. It says, and they covet fields and take them by violence. Venezuela is a perfect example of it. North America is a perfect example of it. Canada is a perfect example of it. Mexico is a perfect example of it. Why? Because Canada was taken by the French, all right, and then Mexico was taken by the Spaniards, okay, and then you had the British colonies that began to take North America, and the French, which took parts of Central America as well, man. They coveted the fields and they took it by violence. See, and this is why we state, man, that justice has to come. Why wouldn't you want justice to come? Whenever we run a stoplight, we get pulled over, and and they charge us, a ticket. You know, if somebody was scamming you and your family, wouldn't you want justice for them? Well, this man's been scamming us, man. He's stolen from us. It says, take them by violence and houses and take them away. So they oppress a man and his house, even a man and his heritage. They stole our identity, man. These people are going around the globe, calling themselves us and doing all kind of blasphemous things, man. Justice has to come. Justice is biblical. Justice was biblical when justice was doled out to the so-called blacks, natives, and Hispanics, and now justice has to be doled out to everybody else. Let's continue on. It says, those moves are chess pieces in a far bigger game. Total containment of communist China. And beyond even that, the permanent reassertion of Pax Americana for the rest of the 21st century. So these people think that by them stealing, I mean, this is the mind frame of a madman. Your empire is crumbling. Okay, I believe I got that already. Sirach 10 and 8, because of unrighteous dealings, injuries, and riches got by deceit, the kingdom is translated from one people to another. Babylon is fallen because of all the wickedness that they have done, man. Okay, but the mentality of these crazy bastards is that, well, you know, the empire's fallen because I've stolen. So because the empire's fallen because I've stolen, I've got to steal some more so that my empire doesn't fall. That's why it's fallen to begin with, man. But again, this is why Edomites are known as the devil, because they are the deceivers, man. They want to they want you to think that they have to be the ones in control. If they're not in control, everything goes to shit. And that's why you have things like mad nuke policy. What is mad? It goes into mutually assured destruction as a doctrine of military strategy and national security policy in which a full-scale use of nuclear weapons by two or more opposing sides would result in the complete annihilation of both the attacker and the defender. This is their mentality. Their mentality is that, hey, if I'm going down, everybody's going down, man. And and we have been conditioned, prior to coming into this truth, we have been conditioned that, yeah, we can't live without America. But the scriptures talk about woe to those that go down to Egypt for help, man. See, prior to coming into this truth, man, we thought that because America was so great that they had to be the good guys. No, man. Now we understand that the only reason that these Edomites are in a position of power is because we went off. Okay, because their mentality is that they want to establish a permanent hegemony. That's the word that they use, right? And that's the thought of the wicked. Matter of fact, where's that at? Psalms 49:11. Their inward thought is that their houses shall continue forever. and their dwelling places to all generations. They call their lands after their own names, man. Goes in, that's how America got its name. America in the scriptures is known unto the fourth part of the world, the end of the world. All right. But what did they do? They named this continent after themselves. America Vespucci. That's how America got its land, and they named streets after themselves. You got Ponce de Leon Street. They named cities after themselves. You got the city of Rome. You know what I'm saying? Perfect example of none other than the self-proclaimed whites, man. And they think that they're going to be able to continue this charade, But that's not what's going to happen, man. Judgment is coming. Let's get that. What is Pax Americana? Let's see what Google. What is Pax Americana? Just to get the edification, it says it refers to the period of international stability, economic growth, and order largely overseen by the U.S. following World War II in 1945. It describes a unipolar world where American military strength, economic influence, and promotion of democratic values, modeled after Pax Romana, prevents major global conflicts. So basically, Pax Americana is basically them saying the only way for this world to move forward is if we're in control, man. And again, this is the lie that was fed to us prior to coming into this truth, man. This is that covering cast. Matter of fact, let's go ahead and get that. I will destroy the covering cast. Destroy the covering cast. Isaiah 25:7. And he will destroy in this mountain the face of the covering cast over all people and the veil that is spread over all nations. Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai has removed the lies and shown us our true identity of who we are as a nation. Okay? It says he will destroy in this mountain. Throughout the scriptures, mountains are governments. Okay? The face of the covering cast. And what is that covering cast? Is the lie. The lie that, those small hats are the people. The lie that so-called blacks, natives, and Hispanics are the lowest. We are, right now. But, the scriptures call us a generation of priests and kings, man. All right? Us being at the bottom, that's prophecy according to Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter. That's us becoming the byword. But now that covering is being destroyed in this great mountain, man. Okay? Judgment has to come to this place, man. Again, everybody else deals with judgment. Okay? But now it's time for these Edomites to get theirs. And, that's not for us to take up arms. Absolutely not. But Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai has to dole that out, man. The globalist intellectuals are this is check this out. This is the liar. It says the globalist intellectuals are melting down because their beloved multipolar world fantasy is collapsing in real time. So now, what the author of this article is trying to prop up. He's trying to say, this president is he's breaking the one world order. Absolutely he's not. He's doing every single thing that needs to happen for the new world order to come in, man. Okay? But they're trying to frame it as to, he's going against that, man. This is why the scriptures, told us to right here, Sirach 12:10, never trust thine enemy. For like as iron rusts, so is his wickedness. And even if this man is doing something that may benefit you, the scriptures go into that also. If he does good, he does it by accident, man. This group of people has done nothing but bring total destruction. Again, the thief cometh but to steal, kill, and destroy. Any law he writes, the big beautiful bill, the Save America, every any bill with a nice name, what ends up happening when you look into it? You see all the evil deeds that they're trying to write in. That's how they are, and that's how they've always been, man. We are to be separate from these people. It says everyone with eyes can see the first layer. He is locking down critical energy choke points and resources that Beijing desperately needs. So basically, I gotta steal your stuff because somebody else wants it. That still doesn't give you an excuse to steal, man. But see, that's why, again, that's why judgment has to come to all of the nations, man, because everybody's in agreement with this bastard. If you're not sighing and crying, okay, then you have joined hand in hand, man. All right, and that's the mentality of our people. Matter of fact, we'll go back to First Maccabees here. This is the mentality of our people. First Maccabees 1 verse 11. In those days went there out of Israel wicked men who persuaded many, saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us, for since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow. This is the mentality of our people. I mean, because even in the ancient times, you know, when the southern kingdom, predominantly the southern kingdom, because that's who was left during the time of the Grecian Empire, the southern kingdom thought that them joining hand, with the Grecians and taking after their customs, they thought that was the way to live, man. And that's, Ecclesiastes 1 verse 9. There's nothing new under the sun. Our people are still in this mentality. Our people still think that the only way for them to get ahead is to get married to an Edomite. The only way to get ahead is to put on that business suit, you know. But that's not what we're called to do, man. All right. Matter of fact, let's get that, and then I'm gonna close it up here. It's in Isaiah. I believe it's in 30. Isaiah 30. I'm gonna just cheat right here. Isaiah 30. Your strength is stay still, something like that. Yeah, Isaiah 30. Right here. Yeah, Isaiah 30 and 7. For the Egyptians shall help in vain and to no purpose. Therefore have I cried concerning this. Their strength is to sit still, man. See, our people think that going down to Egypt for help, taking after the ways of the heathen, is going to save us. No. The scripture says our strength is to sit still. Sit still and wait upon Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai, man. But the point here has been made. These crimes committed, you know, these crimes committed against the world, but first and foremost, the so-called blacks, natives, and Hispanics. Because of these crimes, judgment has to judgment has to come forth, man. Judgment has to come forth. So, I'm not gonna go on. The article, here's the name of the article. It's in Gateway Pundit. But point has been made, man. Until the next one, shalom.